Hey guys, so we're live in the chat room right now. We're going to go ahead and start kind of a lesson on what we feel is going on in the Bitcoin markets today, February 21st at about 1 a.m. Eastern time here. Yesterday we broke our descending resistance, basically the only descending resistance we have left. All of us went long at the break of this descending resistance. Once we broke over 11.5 last night, and we did have a decent amount of momentum, but we had a selling wall at 11,800 that was preventing us from moving any higher despite some increased volume to the buy side. And then about 2 hours before this daily chart candle closed, we just had a huge spike in selling volume out of nowhere. Push us back below this resistance, and we closed on the bottom side of this resistance. That's what I mean when I say I feel like the big money that is powering the market basically holds some manipulation. This is like the definition of a bull trap.
Yeah, that was a big setup.
Yeah, it was basically a setup for them to take everyone's money.
Yeah, I was basically saying that's how I felt the past couple of days.
So you see, once we broke over this resistance here, we did get the nice move up. We pushed lower, and then we were able to reclaim it and push higher throughout the day today. And then like exactly 2 hours before a daily chart candle closes is when this huge candle of selling volume comes in out of nowhere. And as soon as we dip all the way down.
I just want to cut you off. That red candle was absolutely no rhyme or reason behind it, other than, I mean, I could see a little dip, maybe to 11.5, but that was like a 5 minute candle, Josh. I mean, that was 5 minutes. That was coordinated. There's absolutely no way you can have that much loss out of nowhere in 5 minutes unless it's coordinated. Well, and by coordinated, I mean several investors colluding.
Look at the volume that we've been having, and then just out of nowhere, after we break our descending resistance, we're holding up fine. There's no panic by the sellers. Nobody's selling. Everything looks great for us to start taking some longer term trades again. The break above this purple resistance here basically signified the end of the downtrend and the end of the bear market for Bitcoin. So right before the daily candle closed, out of nowhere, this crazy amount of volume comes in and pushes us back down and makes sure we close below this resistance. So that on the daily chart, all you see above this line is a little tiny wick. And that's what we mean by market manipulation. As soon as I saw that, we spiked below here and came back up. I actually went short at 11,475. Let me see if I can pull my Kraken over here and show you guys the trade.
We all have to figure out, like people with legislation problems, like me in New York, I can't use Kraken, I cannot short. So I think we all have to figure out, I'm not the only one, I mean, there's people in other countries, but I think we all need to figure out how we can start shorting, because it's like stealing money. Basically, it's so much easier to short this market than it is to go long. Because it seems like the big investors and the big manipulators are trying to push us down. That is, you couldn't have coordinated that any better to push us down and close below that resistance on the daily chart and manipulate the charts. Well, what they have to gain by that, Dustin, is several reasons. They're all selling and they're all dumping. So this gives them the opportunity to buy much lower and to make more money. And it also, if you're looking at from a political point of view, when it comes to governments, who I feel, this is just my opinion, but I feel like the governments of the world are colluding right now. And I don't think that they have figured out exactly what they want to do with cryptocurrency, but they're definitely going to take their piece of the pie, and this is their way of doing it. And they certainly don't want people getting rich off of this, because that sways the power from government to people. The easiest way and the most effective way to hold people down is financially. And that's may sound like just conspiracy theory, but you know, listen, look at history. I mean, this is not even about the market or anything. This is politics. And for one thing is for sure, politicians and governments will always try to have as much control over the masses as they can. They can say whatever they want, but that is what they want at the end of the day, and they certainly want to get rich or get richer. So this seems to me like, and when you're seeing the manipulation like this points to, I mean, this is what the manipulators want, you know, the heavy hitters. You know, you had that, listen, you had that, wasn't that interesting how you had that anonymous $400 million buy? And I said to myself, I'm like, that seems like a setup. And then everybody's talking about the bulls are back out, we found the bottom, blah, blah, blah. And I felt like, wait a minute, why are all these people coming out saying this right now? It's like they're trying to instill a false sense of stability. And I mean, just the fact that we basically FOMO'd, fear of missing out, FOMO'd our way from 6,000 to 7,800. And I'll take that back, because I don't think so. I think that was an okay bounce. There was nothing wrong with that. But we needed to come back down from there and retest it again.
We needed to retest 6K and confirm that that was the bottom.
Yes.
Before we could really know that that was the bottom.
Exactly.
Floated straight off of 6,000 and went straight up to almost 12,000, almost 100% move. I mean, if on GDAX, we did get a 100% move.
Yes. Without ever confirming anything solid.
Right. We never really built any strong, solid supports on the way up. So it was definitely a very dangerous way to try to recover.
Yes. Which is, Josh, I want to cut you off, which is why we didn't jump back in, because that is just, it's basically just a setup, and it's just a matter of how far do they want this to go. And it's basically what we just created was Head and Shoulders all over again, except this time Head and Shoulders is 100% and probably even worse. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but you know, this is one ugly chart right now.
Yes, definitely. I did get my Kraken open so I could go ahead and show you guys the way I reacted to what was going on. Okay, so you see we started getting the move to the downside. I was actually making a video about how we had ended our downtrend on Bitcoin while we started to slide down. So that's kind of ironic. But that just goes to show you the importance of trading without a bias. Here I am talking about how we're ending the downtrend, and within 30 minutes I'm going short, betting that we're going back down.
Yeah.
So once we broke back below 11.5, I was like, oh shit. The daily chart candle closes at 7 p.m., which would have been right here at this line. So I knew if we closed below 11.5, that the big money that is behind this market and really in control, especially with the lack of regulations in this market. I mean, all it takes is a lot of money, and you can really manipulate this thing. So when I saw us push back below 11.5, that basically tells me the big money wants to push this thing back down. So what I did was I waited for the first very strong bounce. We bounced all the way back to 11.5, and once we didn't power straight back up and started to come back down, I went ahead and just jumped right in short at 11.475. The low of the original dip was down here at 11.2, so I covered some at like 11.250, and then I just went ahead and covered the rest because I felt that we would get another bounce, set up a bear flag or something, and I'd be able to go short again. I did anticipate a little too much and go short a little early. I thought I'd shorted the top here and that we were about to break out of the bear flag here and went short, but I was still pretty confident that after the huge spike in volume I saw in GDAX to the downside, that we would continue lower. So I went ahead and stuck with the trade, and it ended up making like a perfect bearish pennant you see right here. And then we kind of bear flagged here, and I drew that out. Once we broke that bear flag, I covered some just in case we double bottomed right here at 11.279. And then as we broke through the lows, I went ahead and covered some. I covered the remaining balance at, there we go. If I zoom in a little more, it shows I had actually two partial exits. I had my last one was like right at 11.1. When we were at 11.1, there was like a 200 Bitcoin buyer at 11,000 on GDAX. So I knew the whales were interested in at least giving us a little bounce there. So I went ahead and covered. It's the wife's birthday, and I promised her a birthday dinner. So I've been out for the last couple hours, but you see, we've just continually bear flagged the whole way down. We go ahead and pull up this chart. Yeah, see, we've got a bear flag here. When we had the high volume, I like to look at a 3-minute or a 5-minute chart. See, here's the bearish pennant I had drawn out.
Josh, explain to them what a bearish pennant is, just so.
Okay, here, let me pull up a picture just to show you guys the similarities of like a textbook bearish pennant in technical analysis. There we go. Okay, so this is a bearish pennant. Basically, you have a downtrend, brief consolidation, and then once you break down that, that's actually not that great of a.
No, it's not. I was about to say that. That could be like a reversal. And the other thing is, during that down move, I went and searched for news that like anything, and there
was no news anywhere.
There was no news. There was one article that was like over 24 hours old, so that would have already taken effect. It's just complete collusion amongst people with a ton of money. and especially with the low volume that we were seeing, kind of.
Okay, so you see, you get a big move to the downside. You kind of double bottom here and start tightening your range inside of this brief consolidation, and then you continue to the downside. That's what a bearish pennant is. And after this spike in volume out of nowhere, that's what we've been seeing for the last couple of days on these short trades I've been making.
There's bull traps.
A big bearish spike in volume out of nowhere, followed by several bear flags or bearish pennants. So that's really the best way to play this. Wait till this the best way, or the safest way, is really to wait until this consolidation breaks, and then that's when to go short. And then as you break through the lows, take a little piece off, and then as you would get to your next support, take another piece off. Wait for the next bear flag and go short again. Then if we go ahead and zoom out to the 15-minute chart, because obviously volume started slowing down a little bit after the initial dip. And then you just have everyone reacting to what the whales just did.
Right.
You get this you get another bear flag where there's a consolidation at an upward angle, and as soon as you break out of that upward consolidation to the downside, you come right back down to the lows. Another consolidation, but we put in a lower high, meaning that we didn't make it as high as we did on this bounce here. And then once you break out of that consolidation, then you can pretty much expect to go right back down to the lows and to break through. Now this purple line, I did get a long play on Binance off of this line. If I zoom out to the hourly chart, you can see that, okay, this was our dip to 6,000, or I should really say our crash to 6,000. This was our only ascending support that we had intact. And we are trying to poke back above it right now. So that's something that we need to be mindful of for a potential opportunity for a reversal. But overall,
we've broken. I mean, we broke it. They might let us. They might let us run up a little more, but look at the spike in volume. Look at that out of nowhere.
What?
The spike in volume. That is.
Yeah, just out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's collusion.
There's really no reason for a spike in volume like that after you've just now literally broken out of a 2.5 month long downtrend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had more volume here than we had when we broke the downtrend.
Yeah.
And just literally I mean, look at that, like double the volume.
Yeah, definitely double, if not more than double.
Right.
And that's what I was saying when I was live on Binance earlier this morning with that video of breaking the downtrend or whatever. I kept saying, I'm like, where is the volume? There's no volume here for this significant of a pivot here, this pivot point.
And look at this. I mean, now we're back above 11,000 and
it's all games.
Higher.
Yeah, it's all games.
There's no volume.
It's all games.
How can you can't trust this with no volume, because the thing is, when there's no volume, you can have a spike like this come out of nowhere and you're screwed.
Yeah. I mean, it would only take, Josh, look at that order book. It would take what, like 200 Bitcoin to push us right back to like the 10.
To like 10.6.
To 10.6, 200 Bitcoin. I mean, that's not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's like 200 grand.
Yeah. No, it's 2 million, I think. Yeah, 20 would be 200 grand.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 million. There's plenty of people with $2 million in Bitcoin right now.
There was 4,000 Bitcoin traded on this 15-minute candle right here.
That's just insane. How much money is that? 4,000 times 11,800 or 11,700.
4 billion.
Oh my God.
Or like 400 million.
That's just ridiculous. 400 million. Doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't that sound familiar? 400 million, and I bet you it was anonymous. Let's see that. 400. All right, hold on. I'll say, what was it at? Like 11.7? Yeah, it was 11.7. I literally turned the TV on and watched like 2 minutes of a show and looked down at my phone, and I almost felt like, oh, okay, I didn't refresh my screen for like 24 hours or something, because I saw the price was where it was. I'm like, what just happened? 11.7 times, what'd you say, 4,000?
Yeah, 4,000.
40, almost 47 million.
Okay.
Yeah, in what, 5 minutes?
One 15-minute candle.
All right, Josh, do me a favor.
And how can, okay, we have $181 billion market cap or whatever it is now.
Exactly.
How can you have almost $200 billion go down 10% because someone wanted to bail out less than $50 million? Does that make any sense?
No, it doesn't. That's the problem with the valuation of this market. The valuation is just so flimsy. It's not really based on much.
Right.
All right, check this out. If you add the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5 red candles in a row, if you add up that volume, I bet you it adds up to 400 million.
Let's see. We've got 880.
Oh, hold on. Let me get on this calculator. All right, go ahead.
880.
Yep.
4,000.
Oh, that's all?
2,000.
Wow. Yep.
961.
Yep.
2,000. And then this red candle right here was another 2,000. I think that might be more like 150 or 200 million.
Yeah, 114 million, 113 million. I mean, 113 million on a what, 400 billion market cap?
No, I think we were at like 180 billion before that dip.
Yeah, but I think it climbed back up. I mean, that's just crazy. That's less than 1% accounting for a 10% loss.
Right.
That's just red flag.
Right, and we had a lot less volume than that give us 100% gain.
Yeah, it's just it's scary.
So what would happen if everyone just decided they wanted to sell? That's why, I mean, that's why holding and just holding no matter what can be unhealthy market activity, because then you have this kind of volatility.
Right. You have people that are holding, but unfortunately, everyone that talks all that holding stuff, they're not always holding. They're selling, or else we wouldn't be where we are. And unfortunately, what ends up happening is they start selling at when they shouldn't be selling, where they should have sold earlier and been panicking. You know, if people are panicking, you want them to panic. You know, you don't want just people blindly holding. It just creates craziness.
I mean, if we've got, what is it, 16 or 17 million Bitcoin in circulation right now, and 4,000 Bitcoin can give us a 10% dip.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Now, this is just one exchange, so we got to keep that in mind.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. How many exchanges are there, like, as far as major? There's GDAX, Coinbase, Bittrex, Binance, Bitstamp.
Bitfinex. Bitfinex is the one.
All right, so we'll say there's Kraken. We'll say there's 7 major. Let's just go.
We didn't really have a lot of volume on Kraken on that dip. Not at all. We had our biggest volume candle on Kraken was 200 Bitcoin.
David just shared a link.
Take a look.
Oh, that's awesome. Jeez. So 17,000. Was that spike, Josh? Close to 18,000.
18,000 Bitcoin on this dip.
Yeah, and that's only for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So if you put the whole half an hour together, all right, let's put the whole 2 hours together. I mean, it's insane. And that's the other thing I was thinking. Those could have been short orders.
Yeah.
Big time, because that is a great place to short.
Kind of, but I mean, I feel like the main reason why someone would short that much money right there to the point, and with a market order, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To that much shorting, literally driving us back below a huge breakout resistance,
is because they want to short some more.
It's like that's just pure manipulation to me.
Yeah.
And if you know that they're manipulating it back below the breakout point right before the daily chart candle closes, then what is their intention?
You're right.
It's to drive. I mean, they want to drive the price way back down.
Yeah.
They wanted to make sure that this showed up as a rejection.
No volume. No volume.
Right.
The other thing, Josh, is that technically the break of the descending resistance was really only the second time.
Yeah, that was another reason to be cautious.
Yeah.
Usually it takes 3 tests of a resistance before that resistance can be broken, and that we are able to hold above that resistance.
Explain to them why.
Okay, the reason behind that, it's mainly from a psychological standpoint. The first time you test that resistance, you get people buying on euphoria, thinking that, oh, this is we're really going to go. We're going to the moon here. We're going to the moon here. Then the second time you test that resistance, people are like, okay, well, this is my last chance to get out. So they'll sell. And then the third time you test that resistance, all of the weak hands are already out.
Right.
And the holders that are going to hold are the people still in, and you have new buyers interested driving it up above that price.
Right.
So it gives you the room to be able to actually break that resistance.
Right. And what also ends up happening is once you break out, you get all the people that jumped in the first time and then sold, jumping back in and chasing it like, oh shit, I just missed it.
Right. It'd be interesting if this holds and does a bear or a bull flag here.
To no volume at all.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting that
look at the order history.
it's relentless.
Just all red.
Yeah, these are people, I think these are just your normal people trying to get out now.
See this big sell order up here at 11,150.
Yep. Yeah, see, the thing is that that's so easy to push through, though. You know, it's not really a big order.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, when we were at 11.7 earlier, nobody was even thinking about selling at 11.150. And now this guy has, $1.3 million that he's trying to dump. It's not with just one person. It's
that's within a $10 range of orders.
Right. But it's definitely one wheel for sure.
Funny thing is, if you guys were watching Zoom last night, we were actually talking about how significant this 11,150 pivot was starting to become. Anyways, guys, for those of you that are watching this recording at a later date, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and give us the thumbs up on the video if you enjoyed the content, you enjoyed our thoughts on the market. Make sure you leave a comment below and let us know what your thoughts on the market are. If you guys are wanting to join our trading community, feel free to send me an email at thekingsofcrypto@gmail.com. But until then, unless do you have anything to add, Adam?
No, I'm just gonna watch this play out and see when the Bears come back in to smack this down again.
All right. So until then, we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.
All right.